Hey, it's Charmy, and this may get uploaded to YouTube, it may not, but ultimately, I'm recording this for myself, and if it helps anyone else, then that helps me too. To just add a layer of transparency out there. I know someone can relate to me, I know someone's can relate to me, and I'm just being present in this moment, and I want to express some things. I don't know where to look. I'm doing this on my phone. I do have my camera, but this is just a video. I don't plan on editing it. I don't plan on making it aesthetically pleasing. I just want to talk. And so I don't know where to look. I'm looking at myself when I do this. If I look here, I'm looking at the camera. But neither one of them feel very natural. So I'm just going to do what feels right. But anybody who is, all of us are living in the world right now together at the same time. And many of us may have similar perspectives. Many of us may have differing perspectives. And some of us don't know what to think or what's going on or what to do or what to believe. And some of us are on journeys. And in this life, I've learned up until now that the whole duration of your life is the journey. And you add more ingredients to the recipe as you go on. And what I'm on, most people would consider, and what I'm on is, to keep it simple, a spiritual journey. Ultimately, I see it as a self journey because everything that's happened in my life up until now has led me to this moment. And to getting to know myself as a being, to know who I am outside of what I can see, what I can't see, what I feel. And that journey isn't easy. It's not easy. But a lot of things are not easy. Life is not always easy, and sometimes it is. But I think life is worth it. I do think that this life on earth is worth whatever it comes with. And I do believe that the world, the universe, God, spirit responds to us based upon where we are in our lives and what we believe in our lives and what we believe is possible, what we believe is not possible, and what we believe we contribute. And I have been on a very specific journey, I would say, for the last 5 or 6 years. And I did not resonate with the spiritual journey until about 2020. 2020 was when things began to be perceived in a much different way from myself. I started to perceive the world from a perspective I had never really fully grasped. And it was beautiful. It was amazing. I didn't know I could feel so much joy along with that spiritual journey. I was able to, and also it was 2020, so in the midst of it, I was able to fully surrender to what was happening around me and just allow it, because hell, there was nothing else to do. Ain't nothing else we could do. We was at home. There was nothing to necessarily look forward to, as in like plans or something that I would that would distract me from that present moment. And I really began some serious work on myself, my life, what I desired, what I did not want, and making decisions from that perspective. I think back on that time, and honestly, that time is what's keeping me afloat now, because I saw what I was made of. I I'm 29. I'm from the South. I live in Atlanta currently. And around that time, I'll say in the last 5 or 6 years, the reason why I say my journey became a little bit more, I became a little bit more observant of what was happening, and life showed me a lot of things that I did not want, like being diagnosed with PCOS, being in a toxic relationship, not knowing myself at all. Like, not just being like confused in my identity, just not really knowing who I was at all, and letting my relationships with people, whether it be family, friends, or significant others, define me. And when those things weren't going perfectly, my whole world would shatter. And I didn't even see myself. It was a blur. So when 2020 came and things were happening outside of my control in a way that I could not ignore, in a way that the world couldn't ignore, things were happening outside of our control in a way that the world could not ignore, it was the best thing that could happen to me. Because it gave me an opportunity to really see what was happening inside. And from that place inside is where I made all my decisions. And I wasn't going to let the fact that I had a failed relationship with someone who I loved with everything inside of me define me. I wasn't going to let the fact that I was diagnosed with PCOS, which with PCOS, it affects my hormones, all of them pretty much. And along with that, I'm insulin resistant. So my body, what drove me to go get checked out and ultimately find out that I had PCOS was because I had packed on nearly 100 pounds in less than a year. This was around when I was 24, around 23, 24. I had packed on a lot of weight out of nowhere, and it's very noticeable on me because I'm short. I'm 5'2.5", and I had some missed cycles that didn't really make any sense because though didn't even make any sense because I knew it wasn't due to pregnancy, and it would happen year after year until I finally went and got seen, and I brought up these issues when I was 25. And when the diagnosis came at first, I wanted to be defiant, and I wanted to be like, of course, it's always something. You know how you be whenever you're just in that funk in your life and you're just like the evidence of the pain you're experiencing is somewhat like fulfilling, as sick as that may sound. That was the truth. And I wanted to be mad about it. I was like, oh, just another reason for me to be mad at my life. And why me? Woe is me. And I spent the next couple of years with that diagnosis. All you can really do to change PCOS, you could either do what the doctors tell you to do, and that is to be loaded up with pharmaceuticals, birth control, metformin, and accept the fact that you just might be infertile, and accept the fact that you may not lose the weight because it's going to be so hard, and accept the fact that, your endocrine system and, your metabolism, all those things just might be shot because it's PCOS does. But it's really due to the lifestyles that we live, which first and foremost, we all have to eat. So living in America, there's a certain type of diet that Americans generally follow that does not help us, that does not promote health, and it ultimately doesn't help our health. And when you find yourself in situations where the people around you and their mental state and their happiness is more important than yours, that also can cause sickness in your body. So let's add that along with poor diet, people pleasing, lack of self-love, however you want to cut it, however you want to skin it. you not being your main priority and you and your happiness. And working a job that's not fulfilling you, not being able to necessarily find people that you can relate to, and all those things. Add all that together and you have me at 25 and 26. So when the pandemic hit, for me, it wasn't along with that happening in the world and from the world view, ran a panorama, right? For me, everything became spiritual. And that's the best way I can put it. A spiritual journey can't really be quantified and explained. It's felt. I've tried explaining it to people before. I've tried to make it make sense, but the only people who really get it are the other people who have experienced it, are experiencing it with me. And just like I had gained all that weight because I had shut the world out when 2020 hit, got out of the relationship, lost the job, the unfulfilling job, and decided I wanted to feel better, I made my decision. I didn't look back. And when I did that, I got back in the gym, ate healthy, deleted social media, deactivated my social media accounts. And the way the universe conspired in my favor, I had never experienced anything like that in my life. And that's what let me know there is more to this life. There's a whole hell of a lot more to this life that is not, a lot of people are not privy to, because it's not naked to the eye. It's felt. I lost 50 pounds. My skin cleared up. I invested in a lot of skincare as well. As not eating healthy, hitting the gym, spending time outside, letting the sun hit my skin every day. Eating foods that, for one, tasted good, but made me feel good. And not consuming the foods that make me feel bad, even if they tasted good. I got very clear on what friendships were serving me and weren't serving me, which a lot of that wasn't handled by me. A lot of it was handled by spirit. It's the best way I can put it. Some dynamics with my family became very important for me to be honest about how I felt about them, which doesn't mean that I was easy, but at that moment I was like, it's worth it. I must actually stand up for myself. And I did that. And things are beautiful. Things are beautiful. But if anyone on their spiritual journey will tell you, along with this healing that we are all collectively doing on whatever level, it ebbs and it flows. So I was in the flow. And long story short, it was just like, oh, nothing can break me. What? Look what I've done for myself. Okay, they told me I reversed my PCOS, reversed it. Cycle came back every 28 days. It had never even been that. I had never had a cycle that was that punctual. Like every 28 days, here she is. Like, you know, minimal cramps, but cramps for sure, but minimal. Period did not last a long time. It was very healthy, and that made me feel so good. Along with the weight loss, I was just more comfortable. Life was more comfortable. Life is very uncomfortable when you're unhealthy. overweight or not. When you're unhealthy, life is uncomfortable. And so I became more comfortable, felt more like myself, felt more clear on what it is I did not want, which helped me understand what I did want. And I started to align myself with people, community on and off the internet that made more sense with who I was becoming. And it made me feel so good. I was just like, everything's great. Everything was great. Like I said, everything is great. But something happened last year in 2021 that exposed me to myself. And it threw me off my A game. And essentially it was someone made a comment about my weight and it not being good enough for them. And this person didn't know how hard I had worked to get to where I was. You couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me nothing. You know, when you put that type of work into yourself, the amount of confidence that comes with it, it's amazing. It feels amazing. But we live in a world where people look at you and don't know your story. And that essentially what happened. And I gave this person way more power than they should have had. But it exposed that there were still things inside of me I needed to heal, attached to the perspective I had on life, on myself, and on people for most of my life up until that moment. Just because I felt great does not mean there were not things in the shadow that still needed to be looked at, that still needed to be transmuted and healed so that I can fully move into this new stage of my life. And that moment happened around May 2021. And I've essentially been kind of in and out of a dark night of the soul, depression ever since. And why I say life was great and life is great is because, one, that's a fact. But two, it's became evident that a part of my soul's mission is to heal my bloodline. And when you do that, and I asked for this, there's many of reasons why I asked for this. I asked God to help me heal myself and my bloodline, because I'm 29, I'm single, no kids, and I'm way too aware of what's happened and happening in my family and in the world. And once you become aware, you have a responsibility. And I have no business bringing kids into this world knowing my responsibility and not taking it seriously and actually going forth and being willing to do what it takes. And this part of my life is me being willing and doing what it takes, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I have had to really give myself grace. Learn how to give myself grace. I've had to really surrender. And all the things I learned in 2020, those moments where I felt amazing and on top of the world, I understand now that with this new awareness, life means something more to me than it ever has. And life will throw things at you just to see what you're made of. So when those things were thrown at me, that threw me off. It's as if the universe is saying, that power you felt at the beginning of your spiritual journey, you must stay tapped into that. You must stay tapped into her, your higher self. Because now that you understand that you are light and shadow. The real game has begun. You can't navigate life the way you were before. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. You can't navigate life like that before. Now with those new tools, with that new perspective that you gained 2 years ago, you must apply that to every situation and the uniqueness that they may come in moving forward. And I say all that to say that today is June 28th, 2022. It's a Tuesday. And it's been rough. It's been rough. But I asked for this. I asked for healing. I asked for the ability that I hold inside of me to be shown so that I can fully walk into this next phase of my life, not battling myself. I asked for a chance. A chance I never really seen it be given to anybody in my life, not in my immediate life, no. All I ever really have seen is struggle. And though I grew up with a home and clothes and food and never struggled for things that money can buy, the things that money can't buy, I have struggled with my emotions and my mental state, with relationships and figuring out why does life look like that over here, but over there I see something different. Like, why? I don't believe we're here to struggle. But with I know now, I understand that our beliefs are usually rooted in something much deeper than what we can fathom. But everything is energy. Energy don't die. It can only be transferred and transmuted. So with where I am today, right now, yesterday was a really difficult day. The day before that, and no one really knows what I'm dealing with because I don't really know how to explain it. I do have friends who are privy to some things, but they can't fully understand, and they're not meant to. No one is meant to but me. And I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to living the best timeline that I can while I am here. I'm committed to loving myself. I'm committed to loving life. I'm committed to my health of my mind, body, and soul. And I'm committed to my truth. This is my life to live. This is my truth to tell and to hopefully help and inspire someone, anyone. So whoever can relate to any of that, you're not alone, baby. You are not alone at all. Even as I sit in this room physically alone, I'm not. First of all, there's way too much energy in this world for us to ever be fully alone, if you know what I mean. But two, I truly believe that we are co-creating our lives with spirit. Whether you refer to spirit, God, the universe, source. If you act like you have to do it all, then you will feel like you have to do it all. But if you act like you are willing to join forces with all the love that surrounds us, to live your best life, then you will be guided in a way that you could have never fathomed. And through the difficulties that I've experienced in my life up until now, I know I've made it through every single one of them. There ain't nothing I can't make it through. I won't, and I can't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. Do not give up. No. We can't. We're way too valuable. We're way too abundant. We have way too much life to experience and live and love on each other. Can't give up. Do it for you.